Oh, this is the real deal. We're on TV.
We're on
and radio.
And podcast.
All right, welcome again, everybody, to Good to Know Shreveport Bossier. Appreciate you being with us. My name's Jeff Bienfor. Over here is Paul Reeser. He's my co-host for this extravaganza. And as always, we focus on the things that are the positive things, the fun things that are good to know in Shreveport Bossier. And we have a special guest, as usual, and I'll let you do the honors.
Absolutely. So excited as always, Jeff. You know I am. Because we've been trying to get Miss Lisa Johnson on the show for a very long time, but she's a lot busier than I am, so she is hard to get a hold of. But thank you so much for coming today. Our guest today, the president of the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, Miss Lisa Johnson. She's been president for 18 years. I got to read some of this because
I didn't know you could read, actually. But go.
It's
proceed.
I had Chat GPT make it a third grade level. So
okay.
That joke probably went really high. Anyway, so under the leadership of Lisa Johnson, the Bossier Chamber was named the 2018 Louisiana Association Chamber of Executives Chamber of the Year.
Nice.
And in 2019, the Chamber earned the highest accreditation from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, a 5-star accreditation, marking it as one of the top chambers in the country. Also, during her tenure, the Bossier Chamber of Commerce was named the top 20 military-friendly chambers across America by Vetrepreneur magazine. And hey, in 2022, guess what? They were named Louisiana Chamber of Commerce again. So
for the state of Louisiana.
For the state of Louisiana.
Yep.
And probably that means probably the world.
Well, of course.
Well, I can see why you had to read all that. That was a long list. Congratulations on all of those
Well,
accolades.
thank you very much.
That's not even the beginning of it. That's to get us going, to know that since you've been in charge, and the Bossier Chamber has been a powerhouse for years and years, but under your leadership for 18 years has really come a long way. So we're going to talk about, what a Chamber of Commerce does, and you just got back from Washington, D.C. with the National Chamber of Commerce meeting. There's a lot of good stuff. But first, for people that don't know what a Chamber of Commerce is, I don't think there's anyone better that could just describe for us some of the benefits and what is a Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I'm glad you asked because it seems to be that no one knows what does the Chamber of Commerce do.
Right.
But we are an organization that is a pro-business organization, and for the Bossier Chamber, we focus on 4 pillars, and that is advocacy, education, opportunity, and partnerships. And so within each of those pillars, we're all about pro-business and making sure that we're helping to grow the economy and work with our economic development leaders and retention of businesses and, and just make the bottom line grow.
That's right. Well, the Chamber of Commerce is made up of people who own businesses or are heads of businesses. So how does one become a member of a Chamber of Commerce?
Well, just pick up the phone and call us and we'll take care of that. So you're absolutely correct. We are a membership organization and of primarily businesses. There are some individuals that are members as well that support the business community or have retired from the business community. And it's very simple. We want you to pick up the phone and give us a call, because when you choose to join the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, we want to make sure that you're getting a return on investment.
Right.
We don't want you to do it just because you think it's the right thing to do. We want you to do it because it's good for you.
Explain how that fits in with the military. I noticed they had the military accolades there. So how does that work? Obviously, the Barksdale connection is huge.
Absolutely. So we are a huge advocate of Barksdale Air Force Base. It's our #1 priority at the federal level to make sure that we help maintain and sustain what's happening at Barksdale through MILCON budget, Department of Defense budget, and what have you. And so I call that our external communications and assistance with our partners for Barksdale Air Force Base. But then internal, we work with celebrating those young airmen and women with awards and thanking them for their service, and so the business community comes in and it supports that. We also work with for spousal support in helping to do find jobs, and because we think that we don't have a workforce sometimes, but we have a workforce in our backyard of all of these spouses that are moving in, that come in with all of these credentials. And so we've spent many, many years educating the business community that it's okay. it's good to hire these spouses from our base, from Barksdale Air Force Base, because they come in and they're trained and they're ready to work, and so the fees that a business has in training an employee becomes much smaller. And then of course we have our education community that's training these folks, on certificates in 2 years. So we have that workforce out there. People just have to accept those jobs.
Well, also when I was, I had businesses here for many, many years, and I would always remember the Chamber of Commerce. I found great benefit, but one of them was getting to attend the military job fair that you put on every year.
Yes, we assist and help lead a job fair at least twice a year for our military spouses and for the entire community. But the first half of the job fair would be for the military only, so that they can come in and apply for those jobs. And it's not just for the spouses; it's for those that might be exiting the military community, because we want them to stay here, right?
Makes sense.
And keep their family here in our community, and so we've been successful in that as well.
And I would assume the high brass is pretty responsive to working with the Chamber.
Oh yes, absolutely. And so we have a great relationship. I have on my staff, I have an individual that's dedicated to military only, and that's our military relations liaison. And so she works directly with not only Barksdale Air Force Base, but all of our reserve units, because we don't want to forget that we have all of the branches here, and actually on Swan Lake Road in Bossier, but in the Shreveport-Bossier area, except for the Coast Guard. So we have the Navy, the Army, the Marines, the National Guard, and so forth and so on. And those folks deploy as well, and leave their families behind. So we want to make sure that we're helping to take care of those people as well.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
I mean, just like I say, people ask me, it's like, what is the Chamber of Commerce? Because I'll tell people when they ask me what they should do here, I say, well, have you joined the Chamber? I mean, this is not just a commercial for the Chamber, but it was great for me. It's always an opportunity. It's greatly appreciated. It's always an opportunity to network. It's a physical building that you have, but you also you host a lot of events. You bring in a lot of speakers from all over the country that are helping locally, whether it's about real estate or business or taxes or so many things. Anyway, so I always enjoyed being there. And you also, as far as locally with the community, I always enjoyed the Bossier Youth Leadership.
Oh, well, thank you.
I thought that was a cool thing.
Yes. So, I mean, you said a whole lot there. So we'll just kind of
unpack that. I told you Jeff is good at saying, okay, Paul just said 1,000 things. Let's just say, let's take
it's
one
okay. We're
thing.
kindred spirits here. Yeah. Be careful. So stop me as well.
I'm moving back.
But no, we focus on advocacy. I'd mentioned that was one of our pillars, and I think that's very critical to talk about. And that advocacy is public policy, and it's public policy for pro-business. So we work at a city, state, and federal level. You had mentioned that prior to the show that I was in D.C. this last week. So we go to Washington, D.C. 3 times a year, meeting with our congressional delegation and stay in constant contact with them on a regular basis about what's happening in this area, bringing those federal dollars home. And so it's, all the way from the small business, mom and pop, to your very large business, if it's a casino or Fry Master or a large industry out there. They need, and it's helpful to have the Chamber of Commerce advocating on their behalf. The small businesses don't have someone that does that, but your large businesses do. But then when you come in and you have the Chamber backing you with 800 plus members, 2,000 contacts representing 75,000 employees, it says volumes. And not to mention that we're all working together. So yes, on the education front, we not only educate our businesses on what's happening in the community now, if it's on healthcare or human resource issues that are happening. There's some new changes that are coming through the Department of Labor, again, about classifications and what have you. So we'll be sharing that information. But we also hone in locally on our youth. through our Bossier Youth Leadership Program that you were talking about. And so that's for juniors in high school for Bossier Parish schools. And so we take them throughout their school year and we show them what makes up a society. And so they learn all sorts of things from economic development to social services, law enforcement, and what have you. And we see how we help change the lives of our young people in our community, because they are our future workforce.
You're really involved in a lot of things. Most people wouldn't think that you're into all of that kind of stuff.
Right. That's why, at the beginning was like, most people don't realize what a Chamber of Commerce does, and we have many, many facets. So,
well, how is it working with Mike Johnson? And that's probably a boon to have him right here, right? I mean, it's got to be helpful.
It is. It's very helpful when you have a congressman that lives nearly in your neighborhood, definitely in your community, in your city. Have him on speed dial. Actually, his children have gone through our Bossier Youth Leadership Program.
Jay, I do too, actually.
Did you tell him happy birthday?
No, I didn't. I missed that.
So, but his son is going through our Bossier Youth Leadership Program right now. So I send him pictures, and I'm like, "Look at your child."
Nice.
That's cool.
So I mean, it's all about relationships.
Sure.
Everything.
Well, like I say, you just came back from Washington, D.C.
Yes.
So why do you go to Washington, D.C., and what kind of connections do you make, and what have you brought back here to Bossier, Shreveport?
Well, that's a great question. And, it's all about collaboration.
Yeah.
You only ask great questions.
I think you ask great questions, too.
Okay.
No, he's always surprised when I ask a good question.
But it really is a great question. I mean, because it is about collaboration, and we work with our partners. And if it's at the parish level, or if it's at the city level, or if it's with Barksdale Forward, or the Military Affairs Council, or the Committee of 100, we're all working in collaboration together up there. So we take a variety of issues with us. Again, Barksdale Air Force Base, so maintaining and sustaining their facilities out there and their missions out there. So, for years, I advocated, along with my partners, on a new communications facility for Barksdale Air Force Base.
Okay.
For years. And to see it now coming up out of the ground when I'm on the base, it's like, I had a hand in that.
Yeah.
And folks,
cool.
Folks think that whenever you're talking to, sometimes, talking about dollars and what have you, just because you ask for them, they come. It takes years to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we work on issues with the Red River, dredging the Red River for navigation and assisting the port, transportation issues, I-49. So our highways, our federal highways, and and the list just goes on and on and on. Our National Cyber Research Park, the Cyber Innovation Center, dollars from.
My goodness.
Yes.
You spread pretty thin, aren't you?
Well, look at her energy.
I can see that. Yeah.
I sleep only a little bit.
I understand.
And sometimes I'm amazed at the information that comes out of my head. But I mean, I've been in this business for, like he said, 18 years, almost 19 years. And I'm a native of the area. This is my home. So I have a personal love for Bossier and Shreveport and Bossier, and it doesn't matter to me which way you say it. It's Northwest Louisiana.
Right.
I did my internships at Downtown Development Authority in downtown Shreveport, and so the river joins us.
Sure.
So it's
not a divider, it's a uniter, right?
It is. It is, most definitely. And it's incumbent upon all of us and all of our friends that are out there that are listening to help change the script, and let's talk positive and be positive about our communities, because we have so much that's out there, and we're full of history.
So if somebody, a business, was contemplating joining the Chamber,
Yes.
So what would be, I don't know, your pitch? What would you do to sell them, to convince them to
and
join?
you also said Shreveport and Bossier. There's a number of members on Shreveport businesses that are also a member of your chamber as
Absolutely.
well. Right?
We 38% of our members are in Shreveport because we all live, work, and play on both sides of the river, which is why we talk about it joining us, and people can come here and they can find their place. And so, again, if someone's interested in joining the chamber, I mean, the easiest thing to do is to go to our website, and it says join us on our mission, because we do have this mission to grow the economy and to improve not only Bossier Parish but all of Northwest Louisiana, and a vision of being a collaboration hub for the business community. But we like to listen. And that's how I train my my associates and my staff, and that's how our leaders around our board table are talk about it too. We want to listen to what are your needs, so that we can go and connect you, because we're a connection agency. We don't profess to be the expert in any area. Our experts are sitting around our board table, and our experts are folks like you sitting out in the community and working in the community, because you know what's happening with your business on a day-to-day basis. And then so I'm going to listen, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to connect you, if it's at an advocacy level or an education level for skilled training or what have you.
Well, sometimes I wonder if I actually know what's going on in my business.
Of course you do, Jeff. Of course you do.
So you also talked about, you know, when I contact you, it's usually about what's going on in the area. Knowing you're a member of the chamber, you have the opportunity to kind of see what's coming up, what's out on the horizon, whether it's real estate development or new businesses. So what new businesses are coming to town? Has there been a lot of businesses opening and growing here in the area?
We have, and we have seen a lot of growth. We're going to continue to see a lot of growth. We, you know, we continue to work on those infrastructure issues that we all have across Northwest Louisiana, because they're aging and becoming fragile, and that's why we've got to put dollars in it, because that's the foundation. Now, when these large industries talk about coming in, you know, that's usually confidential until they announce, but one of the most recent ones that was announced was the new sawmill up in Plain Dealing. So we have that manufacturer that's coming in that's going to change the face of what our rural community of Plain Dealing looks like, because we are the parish chamber. So we represent Plain Dealing, Benton, Bossier City, and the town of Halton. And then on the Shreveport side of the river, we've seen all of that growth that's happening in South Shreveport and in North Shreveport into the west. And the same thing's happening on the Bossier side. We're seeing all the growth happening in Benton and to the east in Halton. And when we get this connector with Barksdale Air Force Base connected, we're getting ready to do our groundbreaking on the state side of the 220 interchange that we help to advocate for at a state and federal level and get those dollars in. And we've got the federal dollars secured for the federal side. We're ready for them to break ground. We're going to see, and this is going to be a strong word to use that lives out there forever, but we're going to see, in my opinion, an explosion. And on the eastern side of Bossier, moving into Halton, all the way to Mendon, with growth opportunities that can happen because of our partnership with the defense contractors at Barksdale Air Force Base. And then in South Bossier, we've got the new 4-lane bridge that's coming in, and was all in a partnership to turn the existing Jimmy Davis Bridge into a pedestrian bridge.
Yeah. By the way, I like that idea.
Well, thank you.
I really do. And I'll tell you why. Because my daughter worked in Nashville for a long time.
Yes.
And they have that in Nashville. It's really cool. You go from the downtown, you walk right across the river to the football stadium, basically.
Yes.
I just walked across it just to walk across it. I wanted to see what it was like.
To see what's on the other side.
Well, I wanted to walk across the river. And
So let's think about it. I mean, so you're now connecting South Bossier and South Shreveport with this pedestrian bridge and a new 4-lane connector that's coming in. And then to the south of that is the wildlife refuge, the Red River Wildlife Refuge, which is a national federal park, and it's on both sides of the river, the Bossier and the Shreveport side. And you have the CenturyLink Center on the Brookshire's Grocery Arena on the Bossier side. I know, right? Brookshire's BGA, Brookshire's Grocery Arena. We love our Brookshire's friends, and then on the Shreveport side, you have all of this property. So when all of this comes about, it's not think about what's happening today. What can happen in the future?
Right.
What are our opportunities? What federal grants are out there that are available, because it's all connected with the river and navigation. And at a federal level, they love parks and recreation. And COVID threw everybody outside.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
True.
it locked them in their homes, but for activities, it was go camping or go ride your bicycle, because we weren't, we were encouraged not to interact too closely with one another.
Right.
So all of that in tourism has increased. Well, let's capitalize on it.
Right.
Do you find tourism on the bounce back here in Louisiana after the pandemic?
Absolutely, absolutely. And believe it or not, Jeff, I have nearly 20 years of tourism in my background.
I believe it.
As before I came to the Chamber of Commerce, I worked in the tourism industry, worked at our two largest attractions at that time, Louisiana Downs and the American Rose Center, and then I became the Vice President of Tourism Marketing at the Shreveport Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau.
Nice. So you probably work closely with Billy Nungesser, I would guess.
Yes, and I work very closely with him today. Saw him this last week in D.C. Saw Dr. Sean Wilson, Department of Transportation.
By the way, is he running for governor? Come on, if you got the inside dope, you can fill us in.
Yeah, right. Well, I asked the question, and he was like, we'll see.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, okay, just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. It's great to see all of those state heads and administration heads that you don't always get to see in Baton Rouge, but when we're all together, we're coming collectively as one.
Well, people generally just go home, go to work, go to their store. They have their same little areas, so they don't realize necessarily how much growth is going on in all the extremities. But if you head east on Highway 80 in Bossier City, you see more and more development in neighborhoods. And if you head north up Airline, you see Berkshire's and so much development up there. Brand new Berkshire, really nice. You ever go up there, Jeff?
Yes, I do.
I don't know if you had south, but there's things going on all over the place.
She's not supposed to be interviewing me here.
That's
This is not the way it's supposed to work.
Well,
So Jeff, tell me, do you ever go? Have you seen that? Have you seen the increase in the banks that are
exploding.
coming up?
It's exploding. I know it's a rough word.
I know that's a big word.
Optimism, right?
There you go. If you only had any, then you could bottle that, I think.
Well, I love my home.
We have a fantastic advocate for this area in Lisa Johnson. And I was wondering, I asked you yesterday, why do you go to Washington, D.C. when we have mayors and state, and shouldn't the local government be taking care of that? And you gave me a very interesting response on why you're involved so much in D.C.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that again?
So yes, absolutely. So being involved in DC is, it's having a voice for everyone. And that's, again, one of our pillars, advocacy. And we're the voice of business and for our members. And we survive on membership dues and sponsorships. We do not receive tax dollars at all. A lot of folks think that a Chamber of Commerce is a city or a government organization, and we are not. We are here to support the business community. So going to Washington, D.C. just kind of spreads those wings a little bit further of who we're representing. And and like I said, we go up there 3 times a year. So around Washington Mardi Gras, then we go with our partners from the Shreveport Chamber in March, and then they come with us as the leader in September, October, in the fall when we go back up there. And we meet not only with our congressional delegation, but we meet with national organizations and associations, because we love our politicians, but they can say so much. But whenever you are actually talking to a national association, or then you're really getting a little more of your finger on the pulse of what the mood is up there, what's happening, and if it's an election year or not, and
Right.
you know, and I'm a big believer. It doesn't matter to me if it's an election year or not, because it doesn't stop. The world
Right.
doesn't stop going
Right.
round and round. We still
Right.
have to conduct business.
Politicians think that it does, though. So
Well,
you work with all of them. All
I
right.
do.
But so, like, okay, working with Mike, I understand that.
Yep.
But when you're going to work with Clay Higgins or whoever,
Uh-huh.
they're getting hit from the folks from their area. Not hit. That's not the proper use. But they're being, you know, they're getting from all sides. So I'm just wondering how is that productive to work with the other folks?
Oh, absolutely. And we meet with all of them, and as well as not only do we meet with all of our congressional delegation throughout the state of Louisiana, but we meet with those from South Arkansas and East Texas as well, because we are a border state community, and we have a reach that's within this Arklatex, right?
Sure.
Of people that'll cross the border to come over and work in this area, and we share the Red River and what have you. So, you know, we make sure that our messaging is proper whenever to whomever we're talking to. So if they sit on appropriations, like Congressman Letlow is now on appropriations, you know, we're going to make sure that we
Right.
focus on that. Congressman Higgins is now on the Department of Homeland Security.
Yep.
Yes, so we're going to talk about those type of issues specifically to him, and we make sure that we bring the state together, because you're right. They're there for their constituency in their region, but they all work very closely together in DC. So when we bring a voice too of collaboration, that this is what's good for the state of Louisiana, because we're competing with all other states, then the message is being heard.
Yeah, good. So the chamber is not just for large businesses, right? Anyone can join. Can I join as just a broadcaster? I don't own a television station.
You
or a radio
absolutely
station,
can.
so I can still join.
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there like a structured fee schedule for
There
individuals
is.
like me versus
Yeah, it's tiered.
Amazon or something?
It is.
You should jump in there, Jeff.
I might. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, well, come on. And then you can sign up to be one of our volunteers. We have a whole group of volunteers that are called our diplomats. And we'll put you out there to work, and you...
Well, I'm
can-
very diplomatic, yes.
We should rethink this whole thing.
Okay, are we digressing here?
No, diplomatic is, no, I'm just kidding. You could go to all the ribbon cutting. No, but tell him it's not very expensive for an individual. Throw that number out there.
It
Do you have
is.
it on the top of your head?
I do. So for an individual is at this point in time is $305
Okay.
a year, and I mean, it's very affordable. And you know, the communication that you get, we send a newsletter out on a weekly basis, and it's not the same stuff every day.
Gotcha.
You know, one week it's focused on public policy, another week it's focused on economic development, another week it's focused on what's happening in the area, and then the fourth week it's focused on our membership and, you know, what we need to communicate to our members, because there are a lot of folks that are not members of the chamber that are listening to us, because our newsletter will get forwarded, or our media partners will pick up information and then they'll call and they'll do some a report on something, and so we're reaching the masses, and that's what it's about, and just helping to build our economy in Northwest Louisiana.
Okay, well, we got about 2 minutes left here, so hit us with a really good question right now. I'm sure you have one or two left.
Not too hard. I'm ready.
Well, I mean, again, I just have accolades for the chamber because I was a member for so many years, and it brings a large community small, because when you start going to the events and you become what you call the diplomat, you become a diplomat and you start seeing the people and going to the ribbon cuttings. It's an opportunity to really get involved with the business community. So I don't have a great question as much as I just have an appreciation and congratulations for all the things you've done, and thanks for continuing to enter your energy and to continue to grow
well, thank you.
our chamber.
Well, we just celebrated 75 years. Do I look good for 75?
You look awesome.
Amazing.
Now, I will tell you that your name comes up all the time. When I'm
Oh, my
talking to
goodness.
people or doing interviews about various, well, you need to talk to Lisa Johnson about that. Or you need to
Absolutely.
contact
She is a
Lisa
font
Johnson.
of information. I have Lisa on speed dial, so
Well,
that's better. That's better than.
It's very
Jim-
flattering. Thank you. I'm honored.
Mike Johnson.
And again, it's for the love of my community. This is my home. I'm a native, born and raised, graduated from Bossier High School. I
Yeah.
mean, so I am a native. This is home.
Just out of curiosity, what size of a staff do you work with at the chamber?
Well, we are a staff of 7.
That's all. Wow.
6
and you're
and
into
myself.
all of that stuff that
6
you're
and
into.
myself. 21 board members.
Okay.
Our volunteer organization is 40 members that are out in the business community, and so that's really the extension of it. We do have 2 C3 organizations. We have the Northwest Louisiana Military Support Foundation, which is a 501c3 that supports our military families, and we also have the Bossier Innovates Foundation, which is a C3 organization focused on workforce development and education.
Well, you do some terrific
Just say
stuff.
one more time then how someone gets involved, or if they just want to get the newsletter, how does a person get in contact?
The easiest thing to do is to go to bossierchamber.com, bossier.com, and or you can call us at 318-746-0252.
Come on.
All right, so I'm going to remember bossierchamber.com.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Been a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it. Yes, sir.
Been eye-opening.
Lisa.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, good. It's been a pleasure.
Lisa Johnson from the Bossier Chamber of Commerce has been our guest this morning on Good to Know. I hope you found it good to know. Have a good one, everybody.